Cedar Sinai. Shifty work into the box. And across, it's in! Oh, it's Loho! It's a dream return!
Welcome to Casual FC, an Angel City preview pod. Today, an Angel City interview pod. I'm your host, Mario Salazar, with my amazing co-host, Angela Morales, and our very special guest, someone that we've had on the kind of wish board. Who can we get to record? Shoot your shot. Let's see if they're going to say yes. And she did. Yep. One of the amazing personalities calling Angel City game days on iHeartRadio and serving all the corner kicks by Cedar Sinai we can muster, Tracy M. Bailey.
Yay! Woo!
We don't have a soundboard, so we're not like we do our own.
Yeah, we're our own soundboard.
Well,
welcome.
It is such a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be on your list of people that you want on your pod. I'm a fan of your pod, and I'm excited to be with you guys here today. Yeah.
We talked a little bit before we started recording about the difference between like color commentary for the folks on TV and the play-by-play and like picture painting that has to be done in a radio broadcast, and how if you grew up in LA, you know Vin Scully's voice. You could be walking by a store and be like, oh, what clip are they showing? It's such a trigger. Or Chick Hearn and Stu Lamb. There's big people that stick in our brains with that. And it's so exciting to have one of those people for the new generation of
that's really cool
watchers.
That you put me in the same sentence with them. But yeah, no, Isaac Lowenkron, Ilo, as we like to call him, he's an unbelievable guy to work with. He does such an amazing job of that, just painting the picture and making you feel like you're there. He puts a lot of energy into it, a lot of excitement. Definitely, it does really well with painting the picture, and it's so much fun to work alongside of him.
Yeah, you two, you have a special partnership.
Yeah. I joke around with my wife and I because I self-diagnosed. I have aphantasia, which means I can't really picture things in my head. You tell me to picture an apple, I'm like, my mind's blank. But I know what an apple looks like. But whenever I do listen to the broadcasts, it's like the one kind of time I'm still not picturing anything in my head, but I can at least follow what's going on. And I'm like, okay, they're over here. They're on this side of the field. Now they're on that side of the pitch. All of that is just, okay, I feel like I'm there. They're doing such a great job. And I'm like, yes, this is what I need. That's why I sync up the screen.
All the credit goes to Isaac because he can say a million words a mile a minute. And he's just like going and at 100 miles an hour, and then there'll be a little break, and then I'll put my 2 cents in. But he does such an amazing job. And then it took me a little time to adjust to TV to radio. It's a little bit different, as you said, Angela, just understanding the moments when I can come in and give my little 2 cents or whatever about what's going on with the game, and then let Isaac do his thing again. But it really has been such a joy and so much fun to be along with this Angel City ride and a part of the ride in that way.
So if we step out of the broadcast booth and focus back in on just you, tell us about yourself, your family. I know your background. I don't know if other people who are listening do, but Did you grow up playing sports? Did your family, is it like, I come from a sports family, both playing and watching and all of that. Do you as well?
I do. I do. I definitely do. It's interesting. I was born in Columbus, Ohio at The Ohio State University. So, growing up in a smaller town, it was all Ohio State Buckeyes for my family, my parents. And then we moved to California. I was summer before 4th grade. And I actually started playing soccer before we moved or whatever. And the one stipulation I had for moving was that I would be able to play soccer year round on a team. And my parents said, oh, sure, no problem. Well, it's California. We'll play.
We don't do that severe weather notice.
No, if you were asking me when I was moving if it was going to be okay with me, because I got to play soccer year round, the answer is yes, let's go. When are we moving? But yeah, I have 2 sisters. I'm the middle child. I have an older sister that was a grade above me in high school and in school. And She was almost 2 years older than me, 19 months apart. And then I have a younger sister that's 4 years younger than me. But we all grew up playing sports. Like I said, my parents were big sports fans. My mom was actually a cheerleader in high school. My dad played baseball, football in high school. And then he played, I think, 1 year in college. And yeah, we just grew up like watching sports, whatever sport was on during that season of the year. And whether it was hockey, LA Kings, we watched the Kings, we watched the Lakers. Not a lot of soccer was on in our house because
that was hard to watch.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, so not really baseball much. But growing up, I played every sport. My sisters played every sport. My older sister and I were on a lot of teams together. So my parents put a lot of miles on the minivan, driving to tournaments, practices, all of that. But yeah, definitely a sports family. And then we all ended up playing a sport in college too. So it's continued on past high school. And I would say sports is still a big part of our lives to this day.
That's fantastic. What sports did your sisters play? I'm curious if it's just all soccer or if you were all dotted other places.
Yeah, we all played soccer at one point or another, but my older sister ended up playing volleyball at Fresno State,
nice.
And then my younger sister ended up playing basketball at San Diego State.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it just all,
you covered all the bases.
a different sport.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun though.
I love just year-round sports in general, and same thing in that every season you would walk into the house, the TV would get turned on, and it was rarely a show. It was usually a game. That's still me. That's my fiance Eva. We're all like, we went out to lunch the other day. She's sorry, I have the Yankee game on. I'm like, that's okay. I don't care. It's so normal.
Yeah. Yep. And that would be normal for me. What's interesting is my husband actually comes from a really big sports family as well. And he and his brother played sports through college and professionally. And their household, though, they didn't watch as many sports. They watched sports, but they watched more TV shows.
Oh, interesting.
And so he gravitates towards watching TV shows. For me, I'm like, this is not normal. Like, if the TV's on, we're watching a sport. Otherwise, the TV's off.
Yep.
So it's definitely different, but it's funny. I always tease him about that.
It's slightly changing in my household. It's still very much my wife and I are TV movie watchers, but we're slowly, like, especially because of the pandemic, I was putting on any kind of sports that we could, or replays of sports or things like that, and specifically like women's sports for my daughter. And so we were getting really into the women's soccer leagues and things like that. And then everyone always asks me if I've put my daughter into soccer yet, and me being forgetful, I always forget when the signups are, so we're never signed up in time. But she does love swimming. Funny enough, she loves watching swim meets on TV.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I think this is the worst pun I've maybe ever made in my life, but I think she's found her lane like very early. Like she is a fish. She'll send me pictures and she's got a new medal in her class and like she's leveled up, and Maddie's she's so cute.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's a little fish of a kid.
Hey, some kids find it early.
Yeah.
Some kids are still searching. So that's awesome that she found something that she really enjoys and it's healthy and all of that.
It's awesome.
I know it's early mornings for you.
Definitely. One of the questions I had for you was, when exactly was it that you knew soccer was your thing? You said you wanted to play like when you moved out to California, like that was part of the deal of you guys moving out. But when was it that you said, okay, I'm going to college and I'm playing soccer too?
I think the decision to play in college, or the thought of playing in college, came, I would say, late for this generation now. But I started playing when I was 4.5. So I do remember playing and vividly remember playing and feeling, man, I love this. I am a competitor. I loved to compete from the first whistle, the first throw of the ball, from that first team experience. I just loved it. And we were playing on a team that had boys and girls. And my mom now, as I got older, would tell me stories of how I used to always make the boys cry. And I don't remember anything. I just remember I need this ball to go on the goal so my team can win.
We would have been best friends.
Yeah, like that's for me. I'm like, this is what I can win at this, and I can help the team, and I can get the ball.
Yeah.
Yes, sign me up every year for this. So I knew at an early age that I love soccer. I love to compete. I think my soccer journey developed a little bit later, again, especially compared to how it is nowadays with kids like saying they want to play Division 1, whatever, when they're
Yeah,
like
committing to colleges in eighth grade.
committing to college in middle school. I'm like, how do you even know if you can handle
Yeah.
the academic load that school is demanding? But
So many
anyway, yeah,
questions.
no, I actually played a lot of sports growing up, and basketball and soccer were my two favorites. I talked about how you could play year-round soccer in California. Well, unfortunately, in California too, once you get to high school, those two sports conflict because they're in the same seasons. I didn't play high school soccer for my first few years of high school. I played high school basketball, played club soccer, and I also played softball, high school softball, and a year of club softball, and then I also played high school volleyball. So I was kind
A
of the kid
four-star
that played every
athlete.
sport.
Okay.
Yeah, like every sport, every season, sign me up. I love it. My friend, like I loved being a part of a team, and a lot of my friends played either one or two sports as well. I never got burnt out because I was not playing that sport.
You weren't like
nonstop,
specializing from such a young age. You got to bounce around. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I started getting interest or recruiting letters or whatever you want to call it. I want to say maybe freshman year, sophomore year, I'm not sure. And then it was coming in more for basketball and soccer, and then more soccer than basketball at some point. And I think maybe my mom and dad had a conversation with me. Is there one that you want to play in college? If you want to play in college, it was never like a pressure thing that they put on me as well. It was like I was leading the path or the direction that I wanted to go. I knew I had to go to college.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a question, but I wasn't sure about, or we never really talked about playing in college. And then I think probably junior year is when I made the switch to a more competitive club soccer team and understood that like this is the move I needed to make to get seen by bigger programs or whatever. And then once the interest started coming in from schools that I was interested in going to,
Yeah, that's definitely
then it was
a
like-
difference people don't talk about. The interest from schools is cool. And then you realize
yeah,
these aren't necessarily the schools I want to go to. But then the second
I'm
you
like, where
get,
is
yeah,
this?
is this school real? I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And it's like some rural D3 school, which no offense to any of those schools, they are made for a specific type of person. But like when I got recruited to Long Beach State, that's where I wanted to go. And I was just like, oh, this is like dream come true. Perfect. Great. This is you.
Wait, I need to hear your story.
Oh, I was a track
did you
athlete.
play? Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah, I
that.
threw shot put and discus
That's awesome.
at like the community
Okay.
college level. So I went to El Camino, and then I was recruited to Long
Okay.
Beach. And
Awesome.
I just found out 2 weeks ago I'm still in the record books at El Camino, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yes, Angela. That's
A
awesome.
little toot my own horn, but I was
Yeah, that's
very
awesome.
happy to find that out.
That's
It's
really
the competition of I can't go back. I don't have any more years of eligibility, but I'm like, but those records still stand, and they're
cool.
10, almost 15 years old now. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
I'm proud of myself for those.
You should be. Because I'm sure all my records are long gone.
Okay, I'm gonna skip like down our questions because you started talking about college. You take the windy road of landing on soccer. You end up committing to UCLA. Can I have the honor of reading off this accolade bio?
Sure.
This is fantastic. At UCLA, you were named the 2000 Pac-10 Player of the Year. RIP the Pac-10, Pac-12, Pac-8, whichever version. RIP our conference. But you were Player of the Year. You were a member of the Bruin team that finished second at the 2000 NCAA College Cup. You were a 3-time first team All Pac-10 pick, second team for the NSCAA and Soccer Buzz All-American. You were a first team pick for the NSCAA All Far West region, a Honda Award finalist. You were an Iron Woman in 99 and 2000. So I mean, we talk about the Iron Women on Angel City, and like to play every minute of a game, regardless of sport, is so hard. But then soccer is so much. It's so many more
I didn't
minutes.
even know that. I didn't even know I was an iron player. I didn't know. It is a lot of running.
Yeah, definitely. You were also an Umbro Select All-Star Classic participant, and you finished your career ranked second all-time at UCLA in goals scored with 33 goals and points overall at 81. Dang, girl.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's big time. Like people, I feel like there's a better understanding now of everything that goes into collegiate athletics and what needs to happen and all the commitments you have outside of just like practice and games. They don't realize you have specific weight room time and study hall and like commitments to supporting other teams and community events. There's so much to juggle. And then to accomplish all of that at one of the best schools in the country, honestly, when it comes to sports in many different fields of sports. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah. UCLA, I still say, were some of the best years of my life to this day. It was an amazing experience, an amazing, special university. And I actually went to Pepperdine and committed to Pepperdine my first year. I was away for a year and I guess when you're going on that journey of figuring out what school you want to go to, you don't realize some of the things that you want until you're there. And you're like, oh, I didn't think that it was going to be this way. Or, oh, I pictured my being this way. So when I got to Pepperdine, it was different than what I wanted for me in my experience. I think it also gave me even more appreciation for UCLA when I got there and when I transferred in as a sophomore. Just being a part of a university that's known so highly for athletics and academics and being in an environment where you're, in a classroom amongst hundreds of students instead of a smaller classroom with a handful of students. And that's the learning environment that I wanted and what worked well for me. And in terms of like resources and having access to a lot of things that the university was able to provide was amazing. So it was an incredible experience. I am really proud to have been at UCLA and been a Bruin. And yeah, like I said, those were some of the best years of my life for sure.
Yeah, I definitely have a similar. You got this fond look of nostalgia as you were talking about it. Like you were just like going through like, oh yeah, and then that. Anytime I talk about my time at Long Beach or even at the community college level, it's the same. I've never had teams like that. I've never been pushed that way. And it was everything I could have asked for.
Yeah. And I think a lot has to do with luck.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think a lot of people talk about that, but I was really lucky to have the coaches that I had amazing coaches growing up, even from the club level through college, and teammates too. I had an incredible team, just really good group of girls that pushed each other, and our coaches pushed us, and that's what I wanted. I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. This one's like the hardest question we ask anyone. What's your favorite memory of yourself? What's your favorite sports memory? Playing or like being in a tournament or what have you? Is there one thing that really sticks out?
That is a hard question. I think because so many of my sports actual playing memories, I don't remember. I just don't. Obviously, being in the NCAA finals was a big thing for us and our team, and a nice fond memory. Unfortunately, we didn't win that game, so it's not probably my favorite memory. But I think just that my senior year, I feel like thinking back to my time playing as an athlete, going through all of the memories, I feel like my senior year had an imprint on me as a person. Our coach that year was Jillian Ellis, who was the women's national team coach for a number of years, and she just was the most amazing coach and brought a lot out of her play, demanded a lot from her players and brought a lot out of her players. And the group of girls that were on that team, we were all very close. We had great chemistry. We all would do anything on the field for each other. And then, just pushing the program and taking it to another level, I think, and being a part of that was awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's one thing when you have a good group of players and everybody's on the same page and there's this environment that happens That doesn't, like, you can have 4 or 5 great players, and if everyone else is just like, fine, okay, you don't get the same level of success. You could have like 7 out of 10 ranking everybody on the team. Everybody's just above average. Not to say that's anything, but if everyone is there and everybody is working together, you get further because everyone is in this cohesive mindset of like teamwork and, like you said, doing anything you can for each other and like showing up in every way. Because a lot of that too, so much happens off the field, in the locker room,
100%.
while you're studying, like the tears, the life conversations on the bus, all of that. There's something so special about a team that you can't replicate really anywhere, I think.
I agree. And I feel like we had a good balance of incoming players that were really good. That I think we might have had the #1 recruiting class so as freshmen that season. And just having those players come in and mix with and mesh with the players that were already there and the upperclassmen, it was a perfect mix.
Yeah.
We had each other's back. It was like we were lifting up the younger ones. The older ones were showing the younger ones the ropes. And I also give a lot of credit to Jill Ellis and her staff, just because I think that from the top, like that environment that you create and the buy-in also has to come from the players, so that you get that from having a good coach that gives you a clear plan of what the expectations are, has good communication. Because
that is so important.
There were some players. Oh my gosh, there were some players that had been playing a lot that these freshmen are coming in and taking their spots, and that could shake things up a lot because the dynamics of this person has been here for 3 years and now they're not playing, and this freshman's coming in and they're thinking they're all that or whatever. And I don't think coaches get enough credit for being able to manage all of that and all of those dynamics that go in. And Jill did an exceptional job of just also understanding our potential and the level that we could get to and having us achieve things that we maybe didn't even think were possible.
Totally.
Yeah. So
that's fantastic. So now, post-soccer world, you've grown up, you've mentioned your husband and your kids. Are your kids playing sports? Are you guys managing 3 different practices at the same time? Like, how are you managing? What's the intensity level as a sports parent?
It is intense over in the Bailey household. So, like I said, my husband grew up playing sports in multiple sports, and then he ended up playing basketball in college at UCLA as well, and then played basketball professionally. We're these former professional athletes together.
Yeah.
And then now we have kids, and we're like, oh, of course you're going to play sports. But it was interesting, as intense as you could envision things getting. It was always, oh no, our kids are going to try sports and they're going to gravitate towards whatever they want to gravitate towards. And if it's not sports, that's fine too, but you're going to do something active.
Yeah.
You're going to be active, be healthy. But so we have a 9th grader who's our daughter, our only daughter. We have 3 kids. Our 9th grader, she gravitated towards volleyball. She loves volleyball. She's playing also beach volleyball. And then we have, a 7th grader son who plays every sport depending on the season. He says his first love is basketball, but we're constantly going from the track to the field to the gym. And then our youngest he says he loves soccer and he wants nothing else with anything else other than soccer. He's all in for soccer. We're trying to convince him to still play other things and try other things because he's only a 3rd grader. So,
he's got plenty of time. My mom always told me growing up, I want you at the Torrance Rec Center. It was like, pick 3 classes. You don't have to like them. You can get there day 1 and be like, this is not for me, but you have to finish it. If you made the choice, you have to finish it. Half the time I was like, this is the best thing I've ever done. By the end of it, there was only a few times where I was like, Mom, no.
Oh no.
Yes, girl, same thing for me. Angela, like I literally tried everything from tennis to horseback riding, which I hated, to you name it, I tried it. And I think that's great. I think that's, I don't know.
It makes you like understand what you like as a person too. Not just, I play soccer, this is who I am. It's, but I also like these other 15 things. I like art, I like drama, I like this. And you get to become like, I guess more well-rounded as a kid. And that
Yes.
then translates into real life.
I 100% agree. And I think that's what's glaring about our other two are still younger, but our ninth grader especially, it's like she loves volleyball, but she also loves a lot too. And she is into school. She loves learning.
I love that.
She is a student. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm like, she puts more pressure on herself for her studies than we do. I'm like, you're doing great, honey. And she's, but I didn't get an A+ or whatever. But yeah, no, I think especially again with this generation of young kids and these kids specializing in sports and having it go nonstop, you see a lot of burnout.
Yeah.
And I've already seen it from kids. And you see it coming too. You see it coming with the private lessons and the extra this, extra that, and it's all specific on one sport. I think the more we can understand that, let the kids lead a little bit too. It's not, the parents definitely need to sign them up physically, but let the kid, just listen to your kid and what they are telling you.
There was definitely a time for me in high school because I played basketball until my ankle said, "That's funny. You think that I can stay attached?" And then I transitioned.
Oh no.
Yeah, I had reconstructive ankle surgery at 30 because it was still, Woo. And now I'm like, I can run, I can walk, I can do all the things.
Don't play basketball.
No, never. Jumping still scares me. But track and field was a love I didn't know I could have. But pre the track and field love, I actually, and I don't know if I've said this, Mario, I don't know if you know this, but I was a competitive bowler from the time I was 5 until I was 19, 20 years old. And
that is amazing.
And same thing, traveled the country, did a whole bunch of stuff, had scholarship offers, and I was so done. I was like, no thanks. And for the last, from middle school through high school, and this is while playing other sports too, but I just loved it. And I realized I'm bored with this. And I told my mom, I don't want to bowl this winter session. She's like, why not? And I was like, I hate it. But I don't hate it, but I hate it. And I didn't know how to articulate. I was burnt out. I didn't want to keep doing the same thing with the same people. It wasn't new anymore. And I needed it to be. And everybody freaked out because I was a phenom in that sense.
The same.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I know how to beat you. This isn't a competition anymore because I know the mind games. Exactly. And so I would take a little short session off and then I would come back and people are like, did you practice? And I'm like, no, I didn't touch my stuff. I would just walk away for 6 weeks and then come back and just shoot lights out. And everybody's, what are you doing? And I'm like, I just needed a break. I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to just hang out with my friends on a Saturday. I needed the break from that. And I didn't realize that's what it was until like 10 years ago even. But knowing, like having my mom honor that instead of just being like, no, you have to keep doing this was so special because it gave me the time away to really figure out, is this something I want to continue doing? And I think, like you said, the burnout we're seeing in athletes so young, like you need a break mentally. As much as I love to compete, as much as I loved like playing the little mind games with other players and whoever I'm bowling against, playing basketball or throwing against, I would figure out all the little ticks and little things that I could do, weasel my way in to mess with them. And I'm just like sitting pretty, whatever, it's fine. Like they're just freaking out.
That's amazing.
But no,
that's
like
pretty incredible.
I'm so grateful that I had the parental guidance of, no, you can rest, you can take a break and come back to this because you're going to end up being better because you actually want to be there. And I just want to tell everybody that. Just take 6 weeks and go sit down.
Yeah, it's just a change of scenery. Like for me, like I said, I was going from team to team because it was changing over to different sports. And it was a new scenery, new change of scenery. It was using different muscles. It was a new challenge. Like you said, nothing ever got boring or I never was bored of anything. And could have gone farther in soccer if I was sport specific in one sport? Absolutely, probably. But I could have also burnt out by the time I hit 10th grade. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely going to be interesting to see the shift in all of that. Because I feel like at some point it's going to shift. Yeah, I hope so. And I hope it's sooner rather than later. Because we're seeing, I think, the like influx of injuries across sports. There's baseball pitchers that are having Tommy John their first season. And like,
in high school. And I'm like, don't throw so hard. There's
Yeah.
preventative measures we can take.
Yeah, my nephew is like what 11, 12 years old, and he had to take a whole season off because he injured his
no.
elbow. And I'm like, and it was luckily not bad enough for like surgery,
Wow.
but he took off a full year. And that was for this kid who like very early on loves baseball, lived and breathed baseball. He still does, but having to, it's one of those things where they become so competitive.
Yep.
And then he gets told you need to stop before you mess something up for real or permanently. And then he was just distraught, devastated for so long that all he could do was egg on his sister playing. But so he turned his attention to that. But now that he's back playing, he's trying to play catch up though. That's the problem. It's like, at least, I don't know, maybe it's different depending on the sport, but like with the kids that he's playing baseball with and the club teams that they're playing with and the travel team and the this and the that, and the kids are just constantly playing. So they are getting better. And then now he's falling behind a little, but we're like, look, you still got your elbow. That's the most important thing here.
You can always catch up too.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Yeah. Easier it is for you to stay healthy, the longer your career will be and the more ability you'll have to catch up, because every single one of those other players will get knocked down a peg at some point, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. It is unfortunate.
Yeah. Injuries are a wild conversation right now.
Yeah. So we could talk about that for a whole episode on the podcast. Ooh.
Yeah. If you need a little trauma counseling about injuries and stuff, Angela's got you. She's got a whole list of them.
Oh, no.
Yeah. All sorts of injuries.
So, like, moving on into, like, your actual broadcasting, when did you first get into broadcasting? Like, after you were done playing, when did you say, I'm going to give this a shot?
I would have never said that. Knowing me and my personality, I'm definitely an introvert. And I had a sports information director named Danny Harrington at UCLA, and also Mike Sonheimer, who was the former associate athletic director at UCLA. Mike Sonheimer threw it out to me and said, hey, I think you'd be great at this. You're very articulate. What do you say you do some of the games? So after playing at UCLA, the professional league that was started in America called the WSA started. So I went and played professionally, but I wasn't finished with my studies. So I had to come back and finish my degree and do my last quarter at UCLA. So that was the fall quarter when soccer season is collegiately. So he said, what do you think about coming to do some of our games at UCLA on radio? I said, really? You think I'd be good? I don't know. Talking to people or talking to something? I don't know. But I tried it. I said yes. I've always had a hard time saying no to things, and especially things that are uncomfortable. I always think that it's going to make me grow in some way. So why not try it? And so I tried it. And then it's funny because we would train in the off season. So the fall was our off season for professionally for pro soccer. And so they had, I want to say it was like the Women's Gold Cup for the United States national team. And that was like my first TV gig.
Oh, wow.
So all I had...
No big deal.
All I had... No big deal. So I did a couple of radio games for UCLA soccer. And then Danny Harrington, who was the SR format for women's soccer at UCLA, he was like, hey, I got this gig to do the U.S. women's national team. It's the Gold Cup. Fox is looking for somebody. I was like, oh, okay, cool. He's, yeah, you want to do it? I was like, in my head, no, I definitely do not want to do this. But my mouth said, okay, sure. So I had to go into the Fox studios, and they did a test run in one of the studio banks or whatever. And they're like, okay, are you available this day? I said, yes, I am. And went in and called the game. So that's how it all started. And of course, back then, there were soccer games on TV, very few and far between. Right. Every now and then I would get calls to do games. And then I would say it started to get ramped up a little bit when the Pac-12 network started. Mm-hmm. And so I was one of the first, or that first year that they launched, I was a soccer analyst for them. And I think I did a couple of basketball games as well. So that's really how it started. I said yes to something that I wanted to scream no at and tried it. And here I am now just getting to be a part of Angel City. And it's been a crazy journey for sure.
I guess
That's
we just
awesome.
whatever didn't knock you off made you stronger.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. That's so cool.
That's crazy to think that it was just kind of like, hey, so there's this thing on Fox Sports. Do you want to just give it a shot? And then it was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
And I think back to like when I went into tests and I was confident. I felt if they either want me to do it or they want somebody else. It's not like if I get it, great. If I don't, that's fine too. But I remember having that weird voice in my head because a lot of the players that were playing on the national team at the time, I was either playing with or against
Right.
in the pro league. So I was like, this is going to be really weird to have to like analyze how they're playing and what they're doing on the field when I'm going to see them in a couple of months. Or it was just, for me, it was like, I don't want to, I don't know. I vividly remember, don't say anything crazy, Tracy.
You don't want them coming back at you at
Yeah.
a game. To be
Yeah, no, I don't want to. Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like that experience is now like what so many women's sports podcasters and YouTube people and TikTokers are now feeling of don't talk crap about the players. You can critique them, but do it in a way that's constructive. Because I feel like
Yeah.
so many people forget they'll hear this.
Yes.
And that's one thing we talked about when we were launching this. I told him, I was like, I don't want to be those people that are just nagging on the team.
Yeah.
I'm a homer. I love my teams. I'm a ride or die. There's always stuff to improve on because that's the whole point.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and you're an athlete. Like there's,
Yeah.
I feel like there's even in the most horrific game or performance that a team can put out, there's always a positive
for sure.
to take from
Oh, yeah.
something. So yeah, I always try to like, okay, that's what coaches have to do too. You can't always be so negative. You got to find little tidbits or little silver linings in situations that teams go through. Yeah, I agree. I like positivity. Let's keep it positive.
It changes the narrative so quickly if you're just harping on a team or a player or something.
Yeah.
And it changes that whole environment, and people will be like, oh, I don't like it when they call the game, or oh, this person is doing that. Oh, never mind, I'm not going to listen. Because it's the way I feel about very specific baseball commentators who shall remain nameless because they are a very big name in sports. But when you are so focused on the degradation of a team's storied history or whatever, just because you have to take yourself out of it enough to just say,
Yeah,
oh
for
yeah,
sure.
these players are the best in the world because
Yeah.
they were chosen to be, they've worked their way there, all of that. And it's such a talent to be able to talk so constructively about teams and tell the stories of their backgrounds and paint the picture of who these people are in the little snippets between plays. And I feel like if you're not, you are very good at this. If you're not looking for the good stuff, what's the point?
Yeah, and I think that the bottom line too is like there's a human element
Yes,
to this.
these
There's
are
humans out
people.
there, and yeah, if you reflect a little bit on yourself, have you had every single day go according to plan? No.
Exactly.
You make mistakes. You've had bad days, so it is no different for those players on the field.
Exactly.
And they're tired too. They're performing at a peak level that like people have bad days.
There's so much.
I think my favorite explanation, I was watching something on YouTube where the guy was like, it was basically this thing of like how to explain like European soccer to Americans or something. But the argument about flopping and his counter argument was like, I was like, dude, that's brilliant. That's a brilliant way to say it. He's okay. The pitch is about the size of a football field, right? Run around a football field 10 times and then sprint down the middle and then have your friend push you over. Are you going to get back up right away?
Yeah, you just feel like falling.
Yeah. Like sometimes you'll take that second once you fell to be like, all right, let me breathe.
I'm okay with flopping. I don't mind it. Yeah. I get it. The sprinting, it gets tiring. And then if you get your balance thrown off a little bit, you got to take a rest at some point.
Sometimes you just have to lean into the fall. And
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, with that, along those lines, how do you think how is your experience being a professional player, playing at all these different levels when you're calling the games? I'm sure you're seeing more than the average viewer, right? Even when I'm watching it on TV, I've heard you call things out or point things out that were like, I was just like, flew over my head. I was like, oh, I didn't know she was doing that. So how do you think, or how influential has all of that been when you've been making your calls?
Yeah, I absolutely think that it helps for sure. I don't know. I just see it how I see it. I think that I like to educate people maybe that don't see things a certain way, and I feel like especially when I was calling collegiate games, I think a lot of the audience that watches those games or that watch those games were probably people that have only seen a lot of soccer maybe at the youth levels. I tried to relate it to, if it's especially a forward, because that was the position that I played. I think I could see this player going to the next level if they just improve on this, but like just pointing out different things that as they progress and get a little older, as their careers progress, how they can improve upon little things. But yes, I definitely think that having the perspective of a former player at different levels, just in general, I get what a lot of these players are going through on some level. Just to give their backstory as well, I think helps. But yeah, I definitely feel like, I don't know. I see it how I see it, so I can't speak to my knowledge level, but I definitely want to share anything that I see with whoever's listening or watching.
I feel like whenever I'm explaining, I grew up in a basketball family, and so I played for a long time, and my fiance's family watches basketball, but I'll get a text message like, what does this mean? Why did this happen? Can you rewatch this part? And then I realize I don't know how to explain things to people who don't speak the same language, like the same sports language.
Yes.
And that is one of the biggest roadblocks for me when it comes to broadcasting. And I can only imagine from your standpoint. And I think that's because I played, and I speak it in X's and O's and plays and offensive formations and things like that. And to have to break that down, it really makes me learn more about the sport in the process, because I have to then take what I know, how you set up for a charge or how you do this, and then translate it into layman's terms, basically. And it's so interesting the way I've had to explain things. And I'm sure you have calls where you're like, how do I say this in a way that's going to reach everybody?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's part of it. That's part of the excitement for me, is to, like, this is a sport that I love and I'm passionate about and has been a part of my life for a long time. And I think that there are a lot of eyes and ears, especially now more than ever, on women's soccer in general, that didn't grow up watching soccer, or that are new to the sport, or maybe have never seen a game before ever, and they're watching Angel City for the first time. So I want to make sure that they feel like they're understanding the intricacies enough to know that there's more to the game than maybe what they thought before. Yeah. But also not feel like, man, they're so far behind that I don't really get it. So yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying and feel like there is a level of trying to layer things in that are happening on the game, but also keeping it at a level where everybody can relate to and understand.
Well, I will say that I'm that target audience.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mario's the casual fan.
I love it. I love that.
And I'm over here analyzing stats and playing time and how that relates to this and that and the other thing. And
I love it.
He's just like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
But that's a part of it, right? That's what's so exciting, I think, at this time for women's soccer, again, specifically, just that people care, that people are digging up stats, are looking at possession percentages and trying to dissect the game. I love it.
Yeah. I'm essentially the color commentator on our podcast. I'm the vibes and feelings, and I'm like, that felt good. But Angela will give it the numbers behind it.
I'm like, it felt good. Here's why.
I love it.
How did you and Isaac develop your dynamic? Because I feel like you two came out of the gate just together. And it felt like seamless. Like you had just been calling games forever. Had you worked together previously, or is this just, you guys just fit?
Well, Thank you. Yeah, no, we had never worked together prior. And honestly, from the very first few minutes of the first game, I was like, wow, this is easy. He makes it so easy. And we had great chemistry. And I just feel when there's an opening for me to throw in something, or when he needs to take a breath, or the ball goes out of bounds or something. So yeah, I definitely have had to learn to not laugh at every single thing that he says, because he is hilarious.
Yes.
He throws those one-liners out left and right, but he cracks me up. But yeah, no, I've been very fortunate to be alongside such a pro. He's an amazing person to work next to and alongside, and I feel like I've been lucky to have these mentors along the way, even from the very beginning, just working with some incredible people. And they have given me advice from the very first couple of years till now, just trying to learn. I think I come at things with open arms, that I love learning. I love getting better. As I said, I'm a competitor, so I want to learn how to do things, and I like to do things right. I feel like I always have been lucky to have partners that aren't afraid to give me advice or tell me how to do things maybe better or whatever. And I think Isaac is, again, another one of those people that I've been blessed to be able to work alongside.
That's so great.
No, that's awesome.
That makes me really happy.
Yeah, no, it's been a fun ride for sure. Lots of laughs.
So I had a question about the press box. I've always heard the press box, like when you're up there, you have to be professional. Everybody, you can't get overly excited, but you guys are the calling the game. So there's an emotion that you have to convey. So how does it differ between everybody else that's supposed to be like respectful or quiet in the press box, but you guys are calling everything as it happens?
Yeah, well, thankfully we have our own suite. So we have our own room that is separate from the press box, because I feel like it would be too rowdy, too crazy in there. So yeah, the press box, it extends, and there's a couple of suites that have their own booth or whatever, that the door's shut. So it's just us in there in the booth, and then we have Jake Warner, who's usually our sound technician, in there as well, giving us all those good sounds that you can hear through the radio. So yeah, we can scream, we can yell as loud as we want. And then BMO has the windows that open all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's those, I don't know what they call them, but the windows that slide open all the way. So we have a really nice view and get to feel and see the environment, from above, but we feel like we're in it.
You get to be like the bird's nest. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. We get to, it's the same level as the press box, but we're a little bit
just over
closer to midfield.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
They're like on the end zone area. Yeah.
Yeah, they're back behind where my seats are, because I'm in the far corner. So
okay.
Yeah, we're usually like,
so we're
can
probably
we see anyone in the press box to see who's there?
You'll see, actually, sometimes I'll have to poke my head out the window, because on the far corner, I don't know what side that is. I guess it's the
north end?
Northwest side, when there's a corner.
Oh, yeah.
I have to poke my head out the window to be able to see the ball.
I think it's so exciting to hear just how it would be up there. And I know Angela and I, again, the whole shooting our shot, we've emailed to try to get press passes. Don't know what the heck we would actually do with them, but we're like, it's an experience. We'll see how it goes. But
yeah.
But I think one of the kind of last questions, or towards the last, we don't ever want to cut you off or say goodbye too early, but what's your favorite memory so far with ACFC, calling them, being able to be the voice with Isaac? You guys are the voices. What's your favorite memory so far?
I think one that comes to mind that will be forever ingrained in my brain is that inaugural match of the 2022 season for Angel City. And I'll have to give a little backstory just to back up. I mentioned that I played professionally, and I played for the Washington Freedom, and it was in a league that was the first professional women's soccer league called the WSA back then. I was lucky enough to be a part of that inaugural game, and it was the Washington Freedom against the Bay Area Cyber Rays, and it was Brandy Chastain on Bay Area and Mia Hamm on Washington Freedom. So that was like the big build up and excitement to launching the league. And I actually think the record still stands. We had 34,000 something
Wow.
fans come to that game, and I think it still might be the record for the most people in attendance for a club game in America. So I actually got in that game.
Nice.
And just
Right.
yeah, and experienced it as an athlete and as a member of the team. Obviously it's a different experience coming to the Angel City game and working for iHeartRadio and doing the radio broadcast. But I will say there were just so many parallels to that game for me. Billie Jean King was there. It was just a big production, right?
Mhm.
You had all
Mhm.
kinds of attention, tons of fans there. And for me, coming from UCLA, I think aside from that national championship game, that was obviously the biggest game I had ever been a part of, or the most people watching a game that I have ever played in. So it was a big deal. And the first women's professional soccer league in the world. So that Angel City game for me, to see Billie Jean King on the field,
Yeah.
to feel like it was just like it was there. Mia was down there. I think Brandy might have been down there. All the founders and a lot of the players that were in that first WUSA league were down there on the field. It was just really special. And actually I got emotional like before the kickoff. It just like all hit me. I didn't think it would, but it was special. It was special to see how far women's soccer has come, and special for me to understand like, wow, this is a group of investors and founders of this Angel City club that want to do things the right way and are saying and pledging that they are going to do things the right way, and they want to make a difference not just for soccer and not just for women's soccer but for women's sports in general. And I feel like from that moment on have set the bar for women's sports, and they have changed a lot for women's sports and have started this avalanche of momentum for women's sports. And yeah, it just was a really special day to see how far things have come, and to see the women that are on the team be given this awesome opportunity, an incredible chance to be able to play a game that they love and do it at a level that back then you couldn't even dream up. Of course, like I said, we got a lot of fans for that game, but to tell a little bit more about the story, the league eventually folded. I think it went 3 years and then folded. And then there were different iterations trying to come back, and then the NWSL was launched. But just seeing Angel City and the way, and hearing and seeing and feeling how it was different.
It was different.
Yeah, like I knew things were in the right people's hands, and it made me very excited. That day was awesome.
Yeah,
we've mentioned that it's one of our favorite days too. It's just it's the feeling of 22,000 people being there for this women's team in LA, and all the stuff that has been leading up to it, and being like, look, you have fans here, and there are people that want to support this here. It's been great.
And I feel like 3 years in, still selling out is the biggest I told you to anyone who doubted it. It's like, we're not necessarily slowing down. And we've joked on the show before, I can't wait until we have to move to another stadium. Because it's like something has to happen. And I'm like, when are we going to play the Coliseum? When are we going to play at the Rose Bowl? We need a bigger situation. The Red Stars are going to be playing at Wrigley. Dodger Stadium's not that far.
Good point. Hello. Let's put it out there. Let's put it out there. But I think, too, a big part of it is that Angel City is women-owned. And I feel like having an owner or a founder like Julie Ehrman, who doesn't necessarily know a lot about soccer, and doesn't necessarily know a lot about how the women's leagues have had these limitations on it. And she's, okay, cool, but it doesn't have to be that way, and I'm not going to do it that way. And I don't know. Maybe it wasn't the right timing back then when the WSA existed, but I'm just happy that I get to see it, and seeing how successful Angel City has been, the San Diego Wave, or seeing Bay FC. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's just so special. And I've seen so many iterations of other women's leagues, basketball and soccer, basketball, track and field, like local diamond league kind of things, like all these different things. And now everything,
Softball.
so many softball leagues.
Hockey.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now to see these leagues get to a point of stability and financial stability, fan base stability, it makes me so happy because I just want it. I want it for everyone in general, but every little girl that's coming up, every 20 something that's, dang, I wish I could do that. You still can. There's no limit to that. It's just special.
It is. And they deserve it. They deserve it. I think back to like when, you know, I had to figure out like what I wanted to do, and did I want to grind and get paid maybe $10,000 a year to try to wait until something came back? No, I didn't want to do that. So I made the choice to move on. But I think back, wow, what if there was a stable league, and what an amazing time that would have been to be able to play for another 10 years after college and to be able to grow and develop, because ultimately that's what every athlete wants, right? They want to see how far they can go and their potential. And I feel I'll never know, but I'm happy that these women get the opportunity to do it and to live out their dream and to live out their love of the sport, to see how far it could take them. I'm so happy to see that it's in a good place and it's going to continue to grow and get bigger and better.
Totally. There's a big difference between walking away because of like medical injury or because there is no next step versus playing it out and just being like, okay, it's my time. There's such a different feeling for each one of those things. And I'm so glad we're getting to a point where more athletes have the ability to do that on their own terms.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Yes.
Honestly. So Tracy, aside from the iHeart broadcast, is there anywhere else we can catch you, or are you working on anything else, or what?
That's it at the moment. Yeah, just doing the mom thing, doing a lot of shuttling kids back and forth and doing Angel City stuff. But we'll have to see when the college season comes around, because as you mentioned earlier, there's no more Pac-12.
I know.
So I'm not sure how that's going to shake out. But I was calling a lot of soccer games, both for the men's and women's, on the Pac-12 network. So I'll have to see how that shakes out.
Fingers crossed, because I have big feelings about the dissolution of the Pac-12.
Yes. So do I.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people outside of the football world have those similar big feelings about such a prolific conference just dissolving into the ether of the sports universe. But
it's so weird.
Yeah, honestly.
It is.
So
it
weird.
is.
It's going to be a weird year, right?
Yeah.
When the fall rolls around, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. And seeing across women's basketball how many coaches and players are leaving schools who are in the Pac-12 to go other places because they don't want to have to travel as far. Yeah. I'm like, guys, what are we doing?
Yeah. It's great for football and probably basketball, but the other sports, it's going to be a rough.
Yeah. And the women's sports as a whole, just because of funding. But on a better note, we still get to hear you every Angel City game on iHeart. So we will plug it forever and ever. Amen. Because we love it so much. But make sure if you cannot make it to a game that you check the Angel City station on iHeartRadio, on the app, on the radio. I don't even know how to find it on the radio. I just find it on my phone.
Yeah.
It's definitely.
I think that's the best place to find it.
Totally. But thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us and taking the time to let us brag about you and tell you how cool you are. And then also just tell us cool stuff.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me. It's been an honor to even be asked to be on here. And it's been so much fun talking to you both.
Awesome. Hopefully we can do this again next season or later in the season if something crazy happens and you're like, guys, we got to talk about this. Just let us know. You're always welcome to come hang out with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
It's been fun.
Thank you again. And everybody, if you like what you heard today, make sure you hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening. You can check out casualfc.com for all the podcast links to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and whatever the heck the Google thing is now. There's a whole bunch of links there for you. And if you can, go ahead and support the pod any way you can. The easiest way is to like or comment or share any of our posts or comment on episodes on whatever platform you're listening on. Leave us a review. That's the free and easy stuff. If you want to grab some of our merch, you can do so at shop.casualfc.com. We've got more ideas coming up throughout the season. We have had to rework some thanks to the trade deadline, but there's lots of things coming down the pipeline for you. And then if you feel so inclined and you want to help support the pod monetarily, you can do so by buying us a coffee. Check out our link in the socials or go to buymeacoffee.com/casualfcpod. And if you are not following us on social media already, make sure you go to @casualfcpod on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and TikTok. But realistically, we all know we really just update Instagram and occasionally TikTok because this is a lot. And make sure you tell a friend about the pod. We hear it brings the team good luck and we're on a winning streak. So let's keep this going. But other than that, we will see you next time at BMO. Later.
Bye, everyone.